The province of Newfoundland, it was the day of the last train out of St. John's. Now, workers have long ago given up on any hope of keeping the railway. As we hear in this report now, they're clinging to slim hope that something can be done to make the deal for shutdown better for them.
We're on about 41 now. My nose won't stop up here in the clear for that coal carriers and go over on 41.
9:17 from St. John's to Bishop's Falls. Engineer Monroe Greening at the controls. A work train setting out for stopovers along the line to central Newfoundland for the express purpose of tearing up the track. By the middle of May, it won't be possible for any train to move again. So this is the final one.
970.
Monroe Greening comes from a railway family. He's been at it himself since 1952. Now, at 54, he has less than a year to go to retirement.
I really enjoyed it. All my family, they were railway people.
But equipment maintenance supervisor Bob James, also on this final train, is not yet ready to retire. He'll be forced to go outside the province in order to continue his career, which makes the day doubly sad for him.
You know, sad like anything you see going for the last time, I guess. It's history, I suppose, to say you're there. Been in the family for a lot of years, the railway.
How many years?
My grandfather, my father, and myself put 107 years in here at the railroad. So it's sad, very sad, yeah.
Like the last train you'll be on?
Yes, the last one.
Yeah.
The last one here in Newfoundland, because next year I move away to keep a job, I guess.
You'll be moving out of Newfoundland?
Out of Newfoundland, yeah.
So the shutdown of the railway here means you'll have to go outside the province to find work?
Yes. If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah. Engineer Greening is among workers smarting under the deal whereby Newfoundland agreed to the railway shutdown in return for money for roads. It was a bad deal, he says, and he's hoping that somehow the new Liberal government under Premier Wells can change it to get better treatment for the workers.
It should be changed. I think there's a change. We got to change the government here in Newfoundland. I think that the Wells should dig into it and see what he can come up with more money for the employees.
Okay, go ahead, 917, go ahead.
Jim Towns, NTV News.
Here in this province, cases of
Doctors' hats for a reunion at a children's amusement park. Juanita Barry has that story.
They say the only difference between men and boys is the price of their toys. These men will pay any price for a ride on a choo-choo train. They're all ex-railroaders. Some of them retired after a full career on the tracks. Others were forced out early when the railway in Newfoundland closed 4 years ago. For most of them, this is the first time they've been on a train since.
Oh, it's like going back to your childhood. Love it.
And it won't be 14 years before I get on the next one. How does it feel? Wonderful, wonderful, it's great. I'm having a ball. He said it's like the front of the stove, great.
I'd like to get up there and sit down where he's sitting down. I think I get this more speed out of this.
This is the locomotive at the Trinity Loop amusement park. It runs on the only piece of track that's left from the original Newfoundland Railway. And the railroaders thought there'd be no better place to hold a reunion. There's a lot of nostalgia here. There's even a real version of the trains they used to engineer. This used to be a school, a traveling school. This car used to steam around the province, stopping at every station, so railroaders could brush up on their skills.
Everybody feared this car.
Why was that?
Well, the first time you went in there, you didn't know the rules as well. And the last time you went in there 35 years after, you still wasn't sure.
Now this car is a museum for railway memorabilia. Everything from old conductors' hats to signal lamps. Last week, over 200 railroaders passed through this car for a trip down memory lane.
This was your track gauge. Your track had to be perfect by that gauge. If it wasn't, the train wouldn't, she'd leave the track.
And that's the baggage check, which you punch, if anybody bought a ticket, they had baggage, you punch the ticket with this.
Oh, yeah. That came from Trinity.
I came from Trinity.
The tools of their trade. Some of them date back to the days before Newfoundland joined Confederation. Over 40 years of history.
This brings back old memories, you know, of the past. There's something, I suppose, sentimental to a point about it, you know.
How's he going, Billy?
Oh, wait now. I don't want to wait now.
Yeah,
It was a chance to renew old acquaintances and put a face to the names they'd heard of for years. And like any reunion, they swapped stories about the good old days.
He said, how long will it take to make the trip? Well, I said, if you're lucky, around 3 hours. I said, that's the timetable for it. But he said, now, how long could it take? Oh, I said, that's a different story. I said, now, there's toll, I don't know for sure. I said, that a woman got on the train there and wasn't pregnant. Before she got to Bonavista, she had the baby. He looked at his wife and he said,